Hello dear learners, I am Madhuri Buddha from Department of Education, Maharshi Tal University, Rohtak. With the greetings of the day, let us start our next topic, descriptive research. Under this main topic, we will discuss concept of descriptive research, its nature, importance and various types in detail. After going through this module, the learners will be able to know and define descriptive research. They will be able to know about the importance of descriptive research. They will be able to explain various types of descriptive research, that is survey studies, interrelationship studies and developmental researches. Descriptive research is meant to obtain pertinent and precise information concerning the current status of a phenomenon, and whenever necessary, inferences are also derived from the fact study. Descriptive studies investigate the phenomenon in their natural settings. Descriptive researches are different from the historical researches. Let us see how. First is on the basis of time, as historical researches are conducted to study past events, whereas descriptive studies deal with the present concerns. But in both these researches, cause and effect relationship is difficult to establish. If we compare descriptive researches with experimental researches, the latter follows rigorous analysis and the researcher manipulates the variables to study direct cause and effect relationship. Descriptive researches vary in their nature. Starting from mere data counting, they go up to the studies of relationship and even to predict the events. How important are the descriptive researches? Let us see. As a method of research, descriptive studies are most popular and commonly used research method. The problems in the field of education involve people and the conditions precipitating these changes are constantly changing. Descriptive studies are conducted to keep ahead of changes with the representative group of people. Descriptive research also help in developing data gathering tools such as questionnaires, tests and inventories, etc. Now let us see in how many types we can divide the descriptive research. Descriptive research may be classified into the following types. Some research studies fall exclusively in one category, while others may have characteristics of both the categories. So these are not somewhat watertight containers. Even then, descriptive researches are classified as follows. First is survey studies. Second is interrelationship studies. Third is developmental researches. First is survey studies. In order to explain the present conditions or practices for making important policies, plans, survey studies aim to collect detailed data description. And apart from guiding practices in future, by analyzing and interpreting the data, it extends to determine the adequacy of status by comparing with established norms and standards. Survey studies are further classified into following subtypes. First is school surveys. These are comprehensive surveys designed to evaluate the schools as a whole functional unit. The main aim is to see overall effectiveness of school programs and suggest improvements in it. Next is job analysis. Job analysis in the field of education, it is used to gather information about the general responsibilities of the teaching, non-teaching and administrative officers, and for uniform classification of work and identification of competencies to be seen while employing a person and establishment of requirement for promotion, job analysis is very much required. The next type is public opinion surveys. These surveys are conducted to gain knowledge about opinion and attitude of the public and to know how people feel about educational issues. The data gathered is from readily available group of people and may not be necessarily represent whole population. Next is social surveys. They are conducted to study health services, hygiene, employment conditions and caste discrimination, etc. Social surveys are to a great benefit to the education institutions as they present true picture of the society, which help in planning the educational issues also. Both quantitative and qualitative research methods are used in conducting the social surveys. Some more examples may be the survey testing, school appraisal, the status studies, financial studies, curriculum studies and the building surveys. Apart from the surveys, the next type is interrelationship studies. As descriptive research is not only related to data collection and fact finding, it goes one step beyond and tries to find the relationship between the variables and the facts gathered in order to have deep insight about the phenomenon. Here are some types of studies which attempt to trace relationship between the facts discovered. These are the case studies, ex post facto or causal comparative studies, correlation and prediction studies, cross-cultural and comparative studies, and let us discuss one by one. First is case study. Case study is deep study or the intensive study of any social unit. The social unit may be an individual or an educational institute or any social group with some labeled characteristics. Case study is a type of qualitative research and a variety of methods are used to gather facts related to the social unit like observation, interview and questionnaire. It is based on the longitudinal approach following the development of social unit over a period of time. Case study is to follow some particular steps. First is studying the present status of the social unit. Holistic evaluation of any measurement technique or any other technique, the present status of the case is done. The assessment of the social unit is done including his physical, cognitive and non-cognitive assessment. The next step is formulation of hypothesis, that is identifying the most probable antecedents of the case under study. In the third step, hypotheses are verified by testing the antecedents supposed to apply to the condition under study. Multi-method approach is the best approach to apply for verification of hypothesis. And the next step is verification and further validation is done. After verification and validation, diagnosis is done in the light of the causes identified after hypothesis verification. After hypothesis verification, validation, some remedial measures are suggested. And in the last, follow-up of the case is done. In the light of remedial measure, the case is re-examined to see whether any improvement is occurred or not. Now let us discuss the merits of case study method. It's a method of studying the social unit in their totality. Not only the present status but the related past is also probed. Moreover, the insight into basic aspects of human behavior is developed. Next is limitation. Elements of subjectivity may enter into the interpretation of the case studies. Case study method lacks breadth, although it is very deep in scope, but it lacks the breadth. The findings of a particular case study may not be confirmed through the empirical studies. And the next type of study under this is causal comparative study or ex post facto study. Sometimes in research studies, the aim of the researcher is to compare the similarity and differences among the phenomenon in order to identify what factors have contributed to that similarity of differences. Ex post facto study or causal comparative researches are carried out when the researcher cannot manipulate the independent variables and attempts to gain the control desired in the experimental researches. Unlike in experimental research, the researcher is not able to manipulate the independent variable. For example, if the researcher wants to study emotional stability, he cannot manipulate the independent variables like home environment, intelligence, socio-economic status, etc. Rather, he compares the emotionally stable children with a group of emotionally unstable children, categorized by a test of criterion. After analysis of the related factors, he is able to identify the causing factor as it be a uncommon factor between the two groups of emotionally stable children and emotionally unstable children. And there may be some limitations of this method. What these may be? Lack of control, which is a serious limitation of this method. And the joint method of agreement and disagreement demands that a single factor must be the cause for occurrence or non-occurrence of the phenomenon. And in complex social situation, it is very difficult to identify that single factor. So it is the limitation of the causal comparative researches. Next, we are going to discuss about the correlation and the prediction studies. What are correlation and prediction studies? These studies aim to determine the extent of relationship between the variables under studies. These studies attempt to see that to what extent the variation in one variable are related to the variation in other variable. The magnitude of the relationship is determined by the coefficient of correlation. Correlation studies are relatively easy to conduct. For a particular sample of subjects, two sets of measurement scores for both the variables are taken and the coefficient of correlation is computed between these two scores. The direction of relationship may be positive or negative. And the degree of relationship may also vary from perfect to the no relationship. The degree of coefficient of correlation depends on the extent to which change in one variable is accompanied by change in another variable, which may be in same direction or which may be in different direction, which indicates positive correlation and the negative correlation respectively. Now the next type of research is cross-cultural and comparative studies. In order to have understanding about educational and social issues, explicit comparison of a number of societies are made by the researcher in cross-cultural and comparative studies. It attempts to see whether the findings related to human behavior are valid for all human beings or are restricted to one culture. Relationship between education and society, development of laws of marriage, contents of folk tales, relationship between the technology of education and development of personality are some of the areas of interest. The review of comparative education has shown that the researchers have compared school-state relationship, educational reforms and accessibility in higher education. The availability, reliability and comparability also pose problems, and some people may not show and may not explicitly exhibit their cultural issues publicly. These are some limitations of the cross-cultural studies, and reports of different countries have been written by different people at different times and with different attitudes. So this may also have different interpretation. The next type of studies are the developmental studies. Developmental studies aim at studying the characteristics of the students and the ways in which these characteristics change with growth and time. So these are the developmental studies. Such studies are concerned not only with the present status and interrelationship of the phenomena, but also see that how this phenomenon changes with time, and it may take three forms. First is growth studies. Growth studies are used to see knowledge of nature and rate of changes that occur in human beings. Growth studies may be either longitudinal or horizontal. Longitudinal studies are like extended case studies. They follow the same subject or same education institutions over a period of time. And in order to assess the changes in the traits over a period of time at different age levels for the same student, the other factors will remain the constant. But longitudinal studies face the limitations in terms of the sampling. If the sample chosen is poor, so nothing can be done with that. Next is horizontal studies, or these are also called cross-sectional studies. Rather than following the same group of individuals and taking repeated measurements on that, there is a random sample of individuals with successive ages are taken, and one set of measurement on individual from each level are taken as a basis of developing growth norms. Here the researcher cannot remove all the variation except the age, which seriously affects the results. Next type is follow-up studies. Follow-up studies somewhat resemble the longitudinal studies and attempt to investigate subsequent development of individuals after a specific treatment. Next are the trend studies. Social, economic and political data is analyzed to identify the trends and to predict what is likely to happen in future. Some educational and other organizations may conduct such studies to plan effectively to meet the requirements of future. Documentary analysis and surveys may be conducted under trend studies, and they give result in terms of rate and direction of changes. These trends are used to make predictions related to the future needs. Examples may be changing age structure of population, birth rate trends, amount and direction of population mobility, and such type of surveys may help in planning the educational facilities. So dear learners, let us sum up what we have learned through this video. We discussed in detail the meaning of descriptive research, its importance. We also learned various types of descriptive studies with their further subtypes, and further we discussed the various types in a way like survey studies, interrelation studies and developmental studies. This is all for today, and I hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you.